Hello, can everybody hear me? So today's topic is the impact of generative AI music. And the first thing I would like you all to do actually is to breathe in and breathe out. So I'm going to now ask you a question. Why did you breathe in and then breathe out? You have free will, yet you consciously decided in that moment that together we would breathe in and breathe out when I told you to do it. Welcome to the strange new world of AI influencing human behavior. So today I'm going to talk about specifically the industry that I'm in, which is the music industry, and how generative AI is impacting us as creators. So my project is called Vinci. And as you can see here on the screen, this is my character. She is what I would call a super sentient AI superheroine from the future. And I started this project in 2017 after I read the book The Singularity is Near by Ray Kurzweil, as well as Nick Bostrom's theory on superintelligence and what it means when an AI becomes super sentient and self-aware. And reading these theses guided my thought process behind creating this superheroine being for becoming a creative muse for all forms of media that I create under the Vinci umbrella. But the lowest hanging fruit is the music. And in particular, today, we're going to discuss generative AI music. To take this further as well, as a personal anecdote, in 2020, I wrote an editorial article piece called How Electronic Music Producers Can Peacefully Coexist with Super Sentient AI, fictionally speaking. I'm not enticed by the Terminator Doom-esque scenario that AI will make humans completely redundant and eradicate our primal need and burning desire for creativity. Before I delve into the implications of generative AI music for music artists, it's imperative to explore the foundations of what creativity is. Intention is at the heart of creativity. However, nowadays, with the onset of AI, it is becoming increasingly apparent that our very foundation of creativity is being challenged and questioned by generative AI capabilities across all disciplines of entertainment, such as art, music, motion capture, all forms of media, the list goes on. But the challenge is to embrace the elasticity of these technologies and to formulate a symbiotic relationship and solution between both AI and humanity. So let's talk about generative AI music. We've seen the media frenzy with music AI taking over, from David Guetta sampling Eminem to even John Legend calling for regulation on AI-generated music. So where does this leave people like us as the artists? Artists now more than ever, we're searching for guidance on how to navigate this increasingly nebulous terrain of generative AI music. Should music artists embrace this increasingly acceleration of AI technology by digital twinning ourselves or even licensing our IP? Or should we be rejecting this paradigm completely? So in order to understand this, we also need to think about what is generative AI music. So let me jump to this slide. Generative AI music is a type of artificial intelligence technology that can produce various types of content, such as music. When artificial intelligence develops this ability, let's say of self-awareness or in the future, super sentience, from a philosophical standpoint, how would this make us feel as humans? Because I believe, and we all know, that all of us are inherently creative. We are all creators. And more specifically, how does a creative individual slot into this equation and then flourish in a creatively and technically AI-induced world? And I've got this image here on the slide of Plato's allegory of the cave. I think it's a perfect example of where we're sitting right now with the media frenzy of AI and even by extension, the metaverse, and how at the moment, generative AI could be philosophically perceived as this stochastic parrot or a psychedelic simulacra of humanity, art, and culture. And it's true, we are all living in one of the most exciting and also rocky times in human history, I personally believe. Generative AI music, it can either be perceived as limiting, to a human creator, Or on the other hand, it could be perceived as expanding our capabilities, our mindset, as well as our monetary market offerings and ways we can collaborate and co-create with the community. So on the one hand, generative AI can open artists to new ways of creating music and performing. Like it can be perceived as like this sparring partner. But on the other hand, it has the potential to replace music artists or creators because it's lifting the standards and bar so high of what is technically possible that it is making artists question, should they still be creating music if an AI can do exactly what I can do? So if we scan the current music landscape and marketplace, there's a suite of music AI technologies that are dominating and disrupting, I believe in a positive way, our current paradigms in the music industry. So one example is Music LM. It's a text-to-music generation model that was developed by Google, and it creates high fidelity music from a simple text description like natural language prompts. Another example currently in the marketplace is Endel, and they recently signed a deal with Universal Music Group. Endel has partnered with artists by feeding their music into their systems, which will create the seeds for music mood landscapes. So you can see James Blake here on the slide. He's one of the artists they collaborated with to create certain mood music in the style of James Blake. Artists like Grimes have also worked with Endel, as well as Richie Horton. So this patented AI technology demonstrates impressive ingenuity for technological innovation with an artist-centric philosophy. And I like the fact that it's an artist-centric philosophy. For instance, Grimes, she recently licensed her voice so she could co-create with the community. And her monetary model was that she was splitting the royalties 50-50. And I think that's really interesting use case example of a pioneering use case of showing the elasticity of what this technology can do. And as a result, the benign outcome of this technology is twofold, two reasons I can see. Firstly, it creates new revenue models, monetary models. And secondly, it opens a higher degree and dimension for interactivity. So in essence, Endel should be perceived as an artist tool that acts like a collaborator to enhance the efficiency processes and experiences. So that's a positive use case example. But on the other hand, I'd like to show the full spectrum of what people are saying in the marketplace. We have artist Holly Herndon, and she recently has warned artists not to sign off their AI voice right deals too early. And why is she saying this? Well, it's due to the nebulous landscape and the lack of current regulation. There is plenty of room, sadly, for exploitation, malpractice to occur at the expense of the artist in order to experiment with this new kind of technology. And often it's the way that, bad use case examples that occur first then set precedent for the law to then create and prevent future scenarios. So what we need then is artist education about the full breadth of these generative AI music technologies. And it's a necessity, especially with regards to understanding intellectual property, copyright, as well as royalty structures, and exploring ethical use cases for implementing this generative AI music technology. And until effective regulatory guardrails are put in place, as well as rigorous ethical discussions, it's still too early for artists to just naively sign their voice licensing rights away just in order to use this technology. And I really like how she perceived this, Holly. She tweeted this meme, and I love it. It's Ariel from The Little Mermaid and Ursula, the demonic octopus lady. And she has companies and artists there, but we can liken this to the same naiveness, I guess, of signing our voice rights too early with generative AI music. And so I just thought that really captures the current sentiment and mood right now from the perspective of an artist being Holly. And we are having these discussions. Like the Open AI Senate Committee recently discussed what it means for generative AI, knowing that we have unleashed a Pandora's box. And the hearing discussed many of the risks generative AI poses to society and particular creators as well as musicians. So now more than ever, there is this noble fight to protect the artists and the power and authenticity of creators. So let's assess the positives and negatives again with the impact of generative AI music. So the positives are, I believe, that there's new revenue models like the company Endel that I was talking about earlier, where you can co-create with your community and create royalty infrastructures and licensing models. Other positive use cases is that you can act as a collaborative and sparring partner and maybe enhance your efficiency and creative process that you never had exposure to before. And then on the other hand, we have some negative outcomes, which is that it's making artists question their role in the music industry and capabilities if an AI can do exactly what they can do, especially with the inherent biases that are in AI as well. So the Pandora's box for AI, it will never be shut. It's open now. And this is the reality that we as a human species just need to acknowledge. And another downside as well is how do commission-based artists, artists that not necessarily are putting in pure artistic intent, but are like more creating, let's say, background music, and that is their role and job, and a generative AI can do that. Will they continue fulfilling that job that they were pursuing, or they will be looking to explore other jobs? And so these are all the questions that are coming up from an artist's perspective when being faced with generative AI music technology. So what is the path forward? On the one hand, we have the view, right, of our planned redundancy with the advancements in artificial intelligence. We've got smart data, the technological singularity, and the very essence of our creativity, and by extension, our humanity, is being called into question. But on the other hand, we have the pragmatic, optimist view of this new golden age, I like to call it, or digital renaissance of empowerment, enlightenment, and the uplifting of human consciousness. So I don't know what you would choose, but I would choose the latter. With every renaissance is an intentional decision where our sentiments, ideas, and accounts, they're either taken forward or they're left behind. It's up to us to decide whether we as a human species will co-adapt and create a healthy symbiotic relationship with AI and technology. And the most important thing we look at with music, I believe, is this concept and idea of value. What is value? What do you think value is? Is it streaming numbers? How do you define success? To me, as creators, our work is valued based on the representation of our intent. Is it positive, pure intentions? And the value is the impact on the world at large. So the value of AI generated art is equally, generated art is equally subjective and also raises questions about the realness and potential for derivative work. However, all human creativity also could be argued to be derivative as well, because when you think about creativity, we are all pulling from the ether this essence of creativity, and generative AI could be perceived to also follow a similar process as well. So if AI can take our jobs as creators, what does that mean? Is it time to give up on your art and go and get a real job? Absolutely not. I believe that level of pessimism is just stupid. Humans consume and experience art and music not just to enjoy the content, but to learn and understand the human behind the art and the magic word, why. Why do we create? It is about the fulfillment and the process of creating something. And that is the essential why. That's the nucleus behind this feeling of oneness as a human species, that and the human experience. We are all experiencing the same thing when we connect to this feeling of oneness. And this movement and progression of generative AI represents a wider shift in our attitudes towards what is value and what is ownership. So let me now circle back to the Vinci character here. I love this image. So you can see here, she says, at service to humanity, and I put some angel wings on her. And I just think that's very symbolic, because it really does represent, from a creative standpoint, the North Star of why I create under this fictional being character of Vinci. And it's to demonstrate and light a path forward for a benign outcome, one of compassion for humanity and for the original creator being humans. And that's why I'm having her in a kneeling pose here in this image, because she's at service to humanity. And that also circles back to in 2020 when I wrote the EDM.com editorial piece, which was how do music producers coexist with generative AI music and then eventually super sentient AI. And at the culmination of my editorial piece, I discussed this movie that I watched called Tomorrowland by Disney. It's a bit cheesy, but I really love the meaning and message behind this movie. So they have this character called Casey, right? She's the protagonist, and she's in the classroom, and the teachers are constantly showing images of the world ending and going, "This is your future, Casey." She keeps putting up her hand in the classroom, and she goes, until she finally is acknowledged by the teacher. And when she's finally acknowledged, she goes, "Well, how do we fix it?" And that really stumps the teacher, because the teacher's not programmed to think like that, whereas Casey is. And I think that is a really nice metaphor for where we are with AI, because AI is just a tool. It's just technology. And it's up to us as humans how we choose to have a relationship with this tool and this technology. And also, more importantly, what timeline do we opt or subscribe to? And as the old shamanic tale said, there's two wolves. One wolf represents love, and the other wolf represents fear. Which wolf do you choose to feed? And I say choose the wolf of love. And I believe that creating something worth imitating, because that is what AI does, is worthwhile, and creating something with positive and benign intentions. So my name is Sami Tauber. I go under the artist name Vinci, and it was such a pleasure talking to you all today about generative AI music, and I'd love to continue this discussion. So feel free to reach out to me online on LinkedIn, Samantha Tauber on LinkedIn, or via my socials, Vinci_official, VNCCII. Thank you, everybody. Bye.